item for which you're here for.
Do you have it on the agenda?
I do have it on the, we do have it on the agenda. It's agenda
And
number 13.
all of us who are going to talk about it would want to do it there at that time.
Okay, all right. So do I have any comments other than someone here for item 13?
Sure.
Okay,
Dan Colcourse, Howard County Corporation. I hadn't seen you guys in a while. I just thought I'd stop by and say hi. I know we've got a lot of changes that are going on in all our districts right now, but I want to stop by all the districts list. Okay, if you have any questions about the development activities that are going on, give us a call. Not a lot going on right now. We do have some stuff going on in MUD 39. We got some ponds being built west of 2978. We also have a new car dealership being built on the east side of I-45 and MUD 39. And we're putting a water line in right now. So there is some development activity left. I'm producing some maps that show the land to be developed in the districts, all the districts that they have some land left over. And hopefully I'll be back with you guys next month to share that map with you guys to show you where there's some land that may still need to be developed. That's it.
questions?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have any comments from our directors? Oh, okay. Jeannie, are there any adjustments?
I mean, I don't have any. Kim, do you have any? I don't have.
Do you think? Okay, okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda or are there changes to anything
The last one.
on the minutes?
Yes.
There would be.
Okay, on page 2, item 12. I went back and looked at the video. That should be Director Cucci for the position of second alternate in both those lines there.
Okay,
And that's at
that's it.
3 minutes and 10 seconds in the recording, if you want to look it up. And then the other thing
Take your word for it.
is on page 4.
Uh-huh.
I suggest we take out the top 2 paragraphs in that section. I went back and looked at the video and there was no discussion on the disinfection byproduct study under that particular agenda item, nor was there an update on the owner's advisor project.
So the first two paragraphs?
Yeah,
Okay,
that might have, I don't know where that came from. I didn't see it mentioned in the video at all. All of those 2 changes,
okay.
I move to approve the consent agenda
As the minutes.
with the amendments to the minutes
Perfect.
included.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I have to abstain for the minutes.
Oh, well, there you go. Then it's me. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well.
Oh, wait a minute, I
Well,
can't, but I
Yeah,
can't.
so we would have
to
to.
postpone
defer
that-
the
that-
minutes.
To the next meeting,
That's
Wow.
exactly right. Thank you for catching that.
but what about the other things?
You can take action on the remainder of the items. You just have to take off item
On
5.
5? Okay.
Consider a motion on items 6, 7, 8, and 9 under the consent.
Oh, here's
Oh,
Ron.
here's Ron.
Never mind.
Pretty proud
I
of
got
that.
Hey, I'm not gonna,
Well, we're starting separate motions for item 5 versus the rest.
so I'm gonna do 2 motions because he wasn't here for the, okay.
Well, he'll participate in the motion on item 5. But then before we take a motion on that, you can take a motion on the remainder of the consent agenda.
And then circle back to, okay,
Correct.
So,
item 6.
so I'll entertain a motion for items 6, 7, 8, and 9 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Now I'll come back to item number 5. Ron, we have a couple of changes to the minutes. The changes were to, one second,
Page 2.
page 2.
Ron instead of me.
Ron instead of Neil.
Ron instead of Aaron.
Aaron, I'm sorry, my bad. God, I shouldn't be listening.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah. And then on page 4 to remove the first 2 paragraphs. Because they weren't a part of the meeting.
Okay.
So with those 2 changes, we need a motion to approve the minutes from the May meeting.
I move to approve.
I'll second that. All those in favor
Aye.
and 1 abstention. Okay, now we're back in order. Item number 10, receive the regular monthly SJR Woodlands Division Report, pages 16 through 31.
Reports in your packet. As usual, nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing really to report. I can tell you, we did have 6.5 inches of rain in 2 hours at wastewater plant 1 yesterday. Instantaneous flow was 29 million gallons a day, or 29 million gallons. And the 2 hour peak flow was 25 million gallons a day. So
A lot of water.
that's
Oh,
all.
I got the picture of Lake Harrison. It came up about an hour, less than an hour. About 3 feet, and then it spilled down the creek, the little tributary on the golf course. I got a picture to pass around.
So we did send in the notice of violation this morning to notify TCEQ per permit, but that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Questions?
No.
Okay, item 11, receive and discuss the draft fiscal year 2027 SJR Woodlands Division budget 42 through 80.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I have the highlights today of our FY 27 budget. If y'all have any questions, I'm happy to take those. If you'd like to have the full presentation, that's also an option as well. So just to run through the highlights, the timeline of what we're looking at for the next few months. Today, we're here with any questions on the budget. And then in July, we will bring budget back and ask y'all to direct your trustee to vote at the August trustees meeting. And then it goes to our board in August to become effective September 1st. So that's the timeline of what we're looking at. Today's question and answers. Next month is to direct your trustee, and the August trustees meeting for the months. And then the highlight on the rates. So we are bringing a 1% rate increase. It would be 1% on the water side and on the wastewater side. So on the water side, we'd be going up to $2.75, which is a 2-cent increase, 1%. And on the wastewater side, it'd be $5.70, which is a 5-cent increase. It is 1% of the rate. And then the third rate that y'all see is the surface water conversion fee on your bills. We also call it the GRP blended fee. That fee will be going up to $2.83. It is a 2-cent increase, and that is purely based on our blend ratio changing. The rates that we are charged for the type of water sources is not changing, but the blend ratio is changing to 55% surface water, 45% groundwater. So it's going up 5% from the past year's budget. So you'll see that rate on your bills at $2.83. That's the highlights for you. If you have any questions, we'll take those. Otherwise, I will see you all next month.
We did have it in our packet, so we had an opportunity to review that. So,
Oh, and also to mention the trustees meeting, we gave the full presentation. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, the full presentation is there.
discussion, comments?
Probably going back to Chris. So that's going to be the annual average, the 55%, 45% blend.
Annual average, not monthly.
Right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Make sure we have that clear because discussion has come up.
Multiple times, and it is a target. We do generally hit it roughly every year, but it is 10-15%.
You. Item number 12, to consider and act on a supplemental agreement with SJRA for the issuance of bonds in connection with Tier 1 water line renewal projects, including the discussion of timing of the Tier 1 water line renewal projects and review of district payment options.
We're going to defer on that one for today for discussion at the trustee level, and hopefully something that is supported by the trustees next month that we can then bring to the months.
Okay.
Nothing today to discuss.
You're talking about the amendments.
Correct.
Got
Supplemental.
All right, thank you. Item number 13. Consider and act on the consolidation with the Woodlands Municipal Utility District number 1 and the Montgomery County Municipal Utility District number 36. We have a number of people here that want to speak on this, so I'm going to ask you to please, in the interest of time, we all know that I'm a time freak. I would ask you to contain your speeches to 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. I'm sure you've all read this very exciting novel on consolidation. And I want to highlight portions of that. So let's get started. Finding this thing works. And if I turn it on, it should work a little better. To give a little background, back in January, there were 7 of us who got together and we're talking about this mud consolidation and what the ultimate goal was. And as you all recall, that subject came up during incorporation, and it wasn't appropriate at that time. And then, and these 7 people included an attorney who actually set up the MUDs as well as the township. We had a tremendous amount of people in the room that had years and years and years of MUD experience. And my own experience is now approaching 15 years. So I'm beginning to feel like I'm a little bit of an expert until I looked up the definition of expert. X is old, spurt is a drip of water. But anyhow, in the meeting, it was decided we really needed more facts and information. So I volunteered to do this, and then we met again on June 12th to discuss the study. And the consensus at that time was that we really should focus on just MUD 1, 6, and possibly 36. So that's what I want to touch on today. Most of you know the history of the MUDs, that George Mitchell created them originally as simply as a vehicle to raise money to finance the construction of infrastructure in the woodlands. And I'm told by our local historian here that it was in his intention that these MUDs should be dissolved after they have fulfilled their function. The MUDs, as you know, have no employees and only directors. But that never happened. And what we have today is a structure where we have 50 MUD directors overseeing 33 employees. And if I do the arithmetic correctly, that's 1.5 directors per MUD employee. Now, can you imagine General Motors if they had 1.5 employees, 102 or 103,000 employees? That would keep a lot of people busy and out of mischief. So it makes sense to do what we can to reduce this administrative burden. And as you well know, most MUDs in Texas and the other 6 states that have MUDs, the MUDs actually have employees and they do their own water, wastewater treatment, maintenance and repairs of major lines and also smaller lines. We don't have that. So what's left for a MUD director to do? Well, in my 15 years, we did a whole lot more than setting budgets, tax and water rates, and just generally managing our finances. Well, this is a function that can easily be accomplished by Woodlands Water. It's not necessary for MUDs to do that. But there are political and legal obstacles. And chief among those is the Texas Constitution requires that every taxing authority can only have a single tax rate on all of its residents. But the Texas Water Code, Chapter 54, under consolidation, permits the maintenance of taxing districts that originally existed with a consolidated MUD. This has never been tested in court, and the attorneys tell me no law is really valid until it has been either applied and not contested or contested in court. And so we have this dilemma that kind of rears its ugly head. It was also felt that there was too much to swallow at one time to try to consolidate all 10 months. Do we go with a single tax rate in which there will be winners and losers? Do we try to maintain these taxing districts, then face a lawsuit? It's just all too much. And also the challenge of getting 10 months all to agree on the concept, on the practice of consolidating. It was felt that what we really need is a go slow approach.
Bob, I'm going to ask if you could kind of start moving along so the
Well,
other,
you know, I only have 12 slides and I'm already halfway through.
okay, just, it's unfair to the other participants, so.
Okay, so the attributes of MUD 1 and MUD 6 are very, very much the same as you read in the report and in the study. The door for including MUD 36 is more challenging, and so the recommendation of the group was not to include them at this time, but leave the door open. And these are the estimated savings. They're not huge, and they're probably a bit understated because I only used the $33 labor rate and did not consider Eric's $1 million salary in coming up with an average labor rate.
He wishes.
But there are,
Stricken from.
there are, I think the non-economic benefits are more significant. Number one is the elimination of a tax district and all the labor associated with MUD meetings and putting the packets and everything together. That gives more staff time and resources available for resident services. And it helps reduce the burden of oversight for 50 directors. And also it will pool the reserves for future projects and emergencies. The negatives are perceived reduction in representation. You can see on the slide how we rebut that. And no one has ever complained about the success of MUDs 2 and 40 when they merged. In any event, the residents particularly almost always call the WA when there's problems. Here's some additional negatives is the cost of educating voters and hosting an election, but the payback would be less than a year. And lastly is what I call inertia. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, I consider consolidation of MUD 1 and 6 to be an improvement. Why should directors approve consolidation? To disapprove is denying residents the right to decide. To disapprove could be considered or viewed as self-serving. And again, the history of success in the past and your own residents in MUD 6 defeated it by a mere 20 votes out of 848 that were cast. In addition, there was a large undervote, which means people went to the polls, they voted on other issues, but couldn't decide left or right on the consolidation ballot. So that's something we would want to correct in the future. So basically, that's it. And Dan, yeah, he'd like to make a comment.
I have, yeah, we have other members that want to speak as well.
Yeah, I'm one of them on the list.
Okay,
Hello, everybody. A lot of friends here. Been around a while, haven't we, Ron? Yeah. Oh, man. Couple of things. One, Bob, thank you for presentation. And this issue is sort of coming up now. And I just really want you to do this, if you could, as board members, just take off your board hat. Take it off, and you're just a regular citizen of the Woodlands. If you were George Mitchell in 1978, how would you have set up the MUDs? Think about it. He set one MUD up, two MUDs. He was forced to form more MUDs because he needed the funds to fuel the growth of this community. But his vision in mind was to have a JPA, the Woodlands Water, run and manage the organization, and that eventually the MUDs would roll up into one. That didn't happen. And why, I don't know. Maybe it's because there's 12 of them who can't come together and look at the community as one for all for one. Okay, and you look at your little districts as separate. 12 tax rates, 12 fee schedules, 12 reserve philosophies, 12 strategies, 12 audits. I looked at out on the patio out here and saw all these packets for all these directors put together. I don't know how you do it, but would you want one MUD to run it all? Or would you want 12 MUDs to run it all? That's a question for you. Now, another question, second question. If you're Eric Peterson, do you want one boss or 50? One boss or 50? He's juggling a lot of balls, and he needs all the credit in the world. He's a great man. He's a good man. He has the whole Woodlands in his heart. But it's a difficult job. I don't know why he still has hair. I don't know why he still has hair. I don't know how I'd do it. 50 different directors, half of them you're retraining every 2 years, you know, moving and coming and shaking. It's amazing that you're still alive, Eric. We appreciate it. But you can see automatically the inefficiencies, the productivity, and the cost. Now your cost, $90,000 a year, $100,000 a year. Multiply that by 12. Multiply it by 12. It's $1 million, $1.2 million a year in savings. If those savings would have been had over the last 40 years, you'd have $325 million in the bank right now. It adds up after a while. If you put that $1 million collectively together, and over the next 20 years, you're going to have $65 to $70 million in cash that will be used to reduce debt or to handle all the projects he's got up his sleeve that are out there that he can't get to. What you do is you look at yourself and you don't look at the bigger picture. Did you know how much money all MUDs together have in the bank? About $93 million. You know how much debt they have? About 75. Or is that right? 75, 76.5. I could call Eric tomorrow and say, Eric, pay him off. There's no debt in the entire Woodlands overnight. And you'd have $25 million in reserve. And you'd also have $1 million a month, which you've been using for debt service. Use that money to increase your reserves and possibly even lower rates. But that's an issue for the future. But what I'm just saying, keep your mind open. If you look at it from a big time picture, we presented this to a MUD yesterday, and it's the same answer that has been given for the last 40 years. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. When is it the time to save money, to be more efficient, to be more productive, and to reduce the cost of doing business? You got to start somewhere. You got to start now. You can't wait someone down the line grabs a hold of it. Because right now you're in a position that whatever the Center River Authority wants to do, they'll do it. Okay? And politically, one of you, one MUD, is it going to have as much stroke and power and negotiating capability, or all MUDs together have one negotiating strength for 150,000 people, not just your 10 to 15,000 people that you may have in your district today? Think about it. I just want to open your minds. I want you to challenge you. You've done a great job, but look at the bigger picture. You might say, maybe there's some ways that we can start working together for all the MUDs. What about those with great reserves? Let's just pay back the debt. Can you do that legally? Issues? I know we have issues, but think about it. I'll shut up.
No.
But I want you all just to think about it and think long range. This is not an easy program. to get done and get where we need to be towards the end. But it's going to take some people with some open minds and some creativity to do it. Okay, thank you much. I appreciate the talk.
Walt?
My name's Walt Leszewski. One of the directors on Mud One. I spoke to you back in March about what I think is some of the reasons for consolidation. And I have to stand behind what Bob said and what Dan said, what others going to say. You know, we're basically built out now. We're one community. If something happens in one of the muds, say Mud 47, it affects the rest of the muds. It affects Mud 1, Mud 6, and so forth. You know, yesterday was a pretty trying day in the Woodlands. We get 5.5 inches of rain in less than an hour. A lot of areas flooded. You know, these guys here and Kim have had a lot more important things to do than to sit in meetings. And I'm sure the residents out there, the ones that were affected by localized flooding, didn't call one of their mud directors. You know, they called the Woodlands Water here to try to get help and try to get what needs to be done. But if you also look at where we are today, anything that happens in here affects all of us. And the Bear Branch Dam is a prime example. You know, that was managed by 5 muds. But after studies were done and everything, you know, sort of ascertained that if that thing failed, it would affect all of us. And it would affect, you know, how many different muds out there. And, you know, even one of the jokes is, you know, if you flush the toilet up in Indian Springs, by the time it gets to the wastewater treatment plants, you go through 4 different muds. So everything is interchanged there. And I think we need to look at the fact that a lot of us in this room have been involved in the first 50 years of the Woodlands. So some of us were involved with the Development Standards Committee, made a lot of changes. We did a lot of involvement on the new covenants and standards. And so we were part of that. Well, let's be part of the next 50 years. You know, let's leave it for our kids. Let's leave it for the next generation. So I would encourage you to seriously think about working. We can work together and try to come up with what's best for the residents out there. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Can I change
Of
my mind?
course.
Hi, my name is Mindy Reynolds. I also sat on the Mudwood board and listened to Bob yesterday. I've had the privilege of being on the board for 3 years. I'm very new. I was trained. I'm still learning, but our board, Bob's been at it for 15 years. Walt's been at it for 10 years. Hartley, 30, I don't even know. I mean, so I've been very privileged to learn from these men. And we sit on a board that was merged, right? So we know this works. I wish I would have said this better yesterday when we were discussing this, because I feel like on our board, we each were kind of giving our opinion about this subject. But it's not our opinions until we go and vote, because we as board members, we're going to go and vote which way we think. The question is, do we put it out to the voters? Do we put this out for a vote now? And why not? I think this study clearly states that there's more pros than cons. And so I wish I would have said that yesterday and taken that before we voted on it. And so I just wanted to say that in front of everybody here. Thanks.
Comments?
Are we open to discussion?
We are open for discussion.
Full speed ahead. I worked with Bob back in the first effort to consolidate MUDs 1 and 6. We put a report, not quite as lengthy, together. The savings have come up a little bit. I guess there's some inflation involved, but the numbers are very similar between MUD and 6. And I totally agree at the moment, MUD 36 for a number of reasons, not the least of which is their deficits that have been going, and there's been, how should we say, a lack of maintenance for certain parts of infrastructure, which I would not want to burden residents of the MUDs 1 and 6 with. And of course, there's the Moody credit rating, which is a pretty damning set of comments that you've included here. So MUDs 1 and 6, same water rates, same sewer rates, almost invisible difference in the tax rates in the third decimal place. Let's go. I would like to see it on this year's ballot for vote in November. That gives you everyone some time to, it's August, right? I kind of middle of August, sometime around there, to get this on the ballot, a consolidation.
Deadline for that is in August. I think it's around August 20.
Okay, all right.
Is that right? So
Is that enough time?
not enough time.
So
I
we'd
know
be in an
that.
off election year if we were to do it next year.
So would you explain for the benefit of all of us why is not enough time?
So in order to call an election, number one, the deadline is mid-August. You got to work backwards from there. You first have to have both boards vote on a consolidation agreement. And I know that there wasn't support at the MUD 1 board yesterday. So you've got to have a meeting of the minds between two districts. They have to both agree on a consolidation agreement and then call that election thereafter. And so just from what I've heard yesterday, I think that's going to be pretty tough to get that resolved, an agreement put in place, and be in a position to call the election in 2 months.
So what bit of logic am I missing here in which two almost identical MUDs, very similar positions financially? I said, what is
I think you'd have to
what's
ask
the
MUD,
drama?
I think you'd have to ask MUD 1 that, the board, not
Oh,
us.
yeah. Well, time was there.
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
the
I think,
missing logic?
I mean, they've got the video up to kind of, they had a very, I put it as a very robust discussion. So I just encourage you to watch the video of that and you kind of see what the various opinions were. But that's the timeline that you have to make. And then if you're talking about May election, you have to call that by mid-February. And so you work backwards from that to be able to meet that deadline.
If you couldn't get it on as a vote, could you get it on in the form of a referendum or a survey of some sort where you can get feedback from the public?
It's following the law. You have to.
Yeah, no, you can't, there's no legal provision for like a advisory referendum or question. Now, you could do a survey. You've got plenty of, ways to reach out through. I'm sure John could speak to that in terms of how you reach out to the community in various ways on various topics. And you could do that on consolidation. Now, can folks poke holes in that about, how many did you reach, how many people was it skewed because of the people who checked the electronic or however methods you use to try to reach people, how large is the sample size, blah, blah, blah. So you can go in that direction to try to get feedback from your community, but you just understand that the data you get back is only going to be as good as, how many folks you reach. And
So if I understand correctly, if this MUD 6 decided that, yes, we wanted to move forward with it, but MUD 1 had not with this, so there wouldn't be any consolidation.
No.
So now, and my next question then is, so if both MUDs said, oh, yes, this is what we want to do, the earliest that we could put it on a ballot would be next May.
probably, I mean, it would be very, you could in theory, I mean, if everybody said, yeah, we're Bill's mind and let's just basically dust off our agreement from however many years ago it was,
5 years.
re-execute it and
Okay.
move forward. Yeah, but now also, I know when we went through that exercise before, there was a lot of discussion about wanting to have outreach to the community in advance. And so that's something that would have to be discussed. Did you feel like you had an opportunity to educate your community before you called the election? Is the time period between when you called in the election and there's enough time to sufficiently educate the community? So that's what y'all's, role is to make those determinations.
Well,
I've got a comment.
go right ahead.
I don't know that time is of essence right now, after this has been a topic for 5 years and could have been reviewed more times during those 5 years. I'm all for a re-review of this right now, but whether it's this November or next May, if it's the right thing to do, let's get it done. 6 months really matter.
I agree. From my standpoint, I'm all in favor of taking it out to the residents and letting them make that decision. But I also believe that we need to give them the information to be able to make that decision. If you just put something out, in a rushed manner, there's no telling what's going to happen. And I don't think it's fair to the residents. They need to be informed of both the pros and the cons of how that's going to work. In my personal opinion, that's how I feel about
Oh,
it.
yeah, and I think Bob explained that very.
There's two things on that. If you do vote to approve, it would send a message to the MUD 1 directors. And we're not giving up on them yet. Because there's one director there who's only been on the board for a month. He hasn't even got his director's training. And he voted against. I mean, that sends a message to me that he's not voting on the basis of a really good reason. I don't know why he voted against it, because he has no familiarity, he has no experience. Why did he vote against it? We have our speculation.
Well, but I'm not personally willing to, well, no, let me say it like this. If this board decides to go forward with it, I don't want that to be a bullying point to MUD 1 that says, because they are entitled to their opinions as well. So I don't want them to take that as we're pushing that. And secondly, if this board decides to move forward with that, I am not in favor of a November election. I think it needs to be pushed out and the residents informed. So that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, so there's two different things. One is there was a motion that didn't carry, but a motion that you could consider if you wanted to proceed with consolidation with the partner MUD. That doesn't mean you're trying to proceed in November. So those are two different things.
Because you have to get that agreement already
Correct.
drawn up and agreed to sign.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think that's to Bob's point. You can take that action and then that can go back to the other MUD. Maybe they do something with it, maybe they don't, but you've kind of put your vote out there in terms of interest in pursuing consolidation.
And they've already had their June meeting.
Correct.
So their next meeting would be July.
Correct.
Okay, so that's done then.
Yes.
It's done.
That's my.
All right.
I'm sorry.
So just one point on the
What wanted to say something? So
I'm sorry.
What wanted?
Oh, well, go ahead,
I'm
Bob.
sorry.
I just wanted to say, if you vote to go ahead and move forward with this, I think it sends a strong message, not only just to MUD 1, but to the other MUDs out there of what the future is gonna look like. I don't think we ought to rush this thing. I think we ought to make sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, then we get everything in place, the educational process with the residents and so forth. But the big thing would be if you go ahead and vote to proceed, we've got some work to do on MUD 1. And I think we know where those votes are coming from. And so I think it would send the right message out there that, hey, we are going to change. We are going to look at better ways of doing things for the future. Well, let's just not rush it. Let's get the mechanism working. There's what, 5 people, well, 4 people here today. Aaron's not here, 2 people here. So it's 6 people out of the 10 that are for it. And so, we've got some work to do, and I think we can move forward on that.
One final comment. I think resident education, that whole process has matured rather significantly since 2001. And so we have a functional communications charter and processes within Woodlands Water to get the information
I
out.
totally agree with
So
that.
that's the one big delta I can point to. That it would be relatively straightforward to stand up an educational program with the potential consolidation so that every stone will be turned
Perfect.
and every issue brought up, pros and cons, the whole 9 yards. So I'm good. Let's go fast and go slow at the same time.
So I think I need a motion.
What's that?
I need a motion.
Oh, I move that we continue the process, working towards a consolidation of MUDs 1 and 6. Is that sufficiently broad?
I think it's a motion to pursue, the board supports and to pursue consolidation with MUD 1.
Okay.
Continue to pursue.
And do I,
One second.
and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
God
Attorney's
bless
report?
you, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Attorney's report?
Only item I have there is a friendly reminder, if you haven't completed your training to
Oh,
try to get that done. You still have until August 31, but
Okay, thank you.
I'll be your human reminder.
Thank you. You need to do that because I'm not sure.
keep us legal.
Shelley needs to send us a reminder every
Yeah.
week. Have you done it? Have you done it?
Have you done it?
Have
Yeah.
you done it?
That's all I have there. Under the next item, we do need to adopt the order to add the Kevin Brady Library as an out-of-district meeting location. We'll also have,
in MUD 6.
this is already in the district, so this doesn't need to be an out-of-district location. Well, actually, that is in the district as well, so
Yeah.
let's see, we don't, yeah.
We're home.
We have the township and we have, maybe,
Other potential meeting.
yeah, other districts have the
It's for what,
the Woodlands Division location, which I think is also in the district, and this location, which is in your district. So yeah, you're just having the township.
Okay.
It doesn't have to just be out of district.
It's just for out of district.
Just for the out district. So it'd be the township meeting location.
Which we already.
I don't know.
What to do a separate resolution for the in-district location. That's not on the agenda.
So that's next month.
No.
So it'd be a revision.
No,
of the
this,
thing?
well, you have a an order establishing meeting place outside the district that you have to publish in the newspaper.
Okay.
We're also gonna have an additional location in the district that will be, it's unique for this district because the library is actually in their boundary, so
Yeah.
that'll be a little different for y'all.
Okay.
So this we need to do
So next month.
out, yes, we'll have in district next month.
So do I need?
Yeah,
so
need a motion?
I need a motion. I thought so. I thought that's where I'm like, okay, I need a motion for
Approving the.
approving the in district.
Out of district.
Out of district.
Out of district.
Yeah, I got that backwards. Out of district. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Yep.
General managers report?
All right, good afternoon. The general manager's report starts on page 81. So we've got a lot going on throughout the Woodlands. First page, we have a summary of all the urban projects, new and redevelopment projects that are going on, about 189 of those going on right now. Last month, we conducted about 19 inspections on those types of projects. And we have about roughly 1,000 work orders that we went through last month. On page 83, there's a number of, and 84 and 85, there's a number of examples of some ditch repair items that we've been working on month in, month out. So just some examples of some pre and post pictures of those. We will be starting our next mowing cycle, here, supposed to start this week, but.
Yeah, right.
Needs to dry out just a tad.
Yeah, indeed.
The last couple of days.
Yeah.
We did have on page 89, we have an employee with a 47-year anniversary.
Outstanding.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And is our inspector, who does a lot of those new development inspections for us. So
Any plans to retire for Dan?
I hope not. So, I mean, no, I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, so, it'll certainly, be a loss for us. We are looking at, internally, ways to, for his succession, just to have, an individual pick up the pace on that. Plus, he works part-time. And so as we've ramped up our processes to, go through those 189 active projects, we've strengthened up our process, which has created a little bit more work for us. So there's probably a little bit of a need going forward to have maybe a few more days a week of coverage there. So we're looking internally at individuals that could maybe not only assist him, but also maybe work into that position as he retires. So we're working on that as we speak.
And you see that capability in a couple of those individuals?
I do. Certainly not with the historical knowledge of everything, but being able to step in and do inspection type of services, get familiar with plumbing codes and things like that we deal with every day. Yes, we can.
I was like 10 or 12 when he started.
Right. Well, and before he came to Joint Powers, he would actually work for Woodlands Development. So he's been here since the very, very beginning.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah, I recognize that name. So yeah.
Want to let you know, AWD conference is this week, so starts tomorrow. We'll be heading up tomorrow. Number of directors are heading there. Goes through Saturday, so we'll anything we learned, we'll bring back to you and share with you on that. We had new director orientation last Friday. 9 out of the 12 new directors were able to attend, and so a lot of good information that they received on just what this is all about and how it works. And so kind of a crash course, but it's a good start. So and I did want to note, just talk about the rainfall event yesterday, because you were kind of somewhat in the epicenter of it, looking at some of the street flooding and looking at the rain gauges that are throughout the Woodlands. We've kind of triangulated, so to speak, kind of the major area that was impacted, and it really went from about Research to Sawdust, and then Gosling to 45 was kind of that block. And in that block, the rain gauges were showing from 9:45 to 10:45 yesterday, anywhere from 2.5 to upwards of 4 inches per that hour, with some areas at 1 inch to 1.25 inches per every 15 minutes. And so that's 4 times what the storm sewer system and drainage system is designed for. So all in all, I think the system did very well. But at some point, there's, it's a kind of a mass balance, as you know, more waterfalls, it's got to go somewhere. And so there was a couple some street issues, for the most part.
There were 2 Woodlands water trucks yesterday on North Biltman and today. So was it just general debris that was plugging up?
Yeah, so during the day, Randy and I went out and started driving streets around 1 o'clock or so when we had a gap, and just to assess things. And then simultaneously, and actually started earlier in the day, we had crews that were monitoring striate inlets, inlets, things like that along the roadways, just to make sure that there were debris that was, clogging them up. So, and we were going to continue to do that. And then one of the things that we talked about when we were talking about the budget last year related to all the ditch work that we were going to do, and then hiring a ditch crew and all that, which we've done. What we talked about going forward was after major events, going into the system and running through the ditches to get an assessment of any, down trees or any additional damage that a significant event might have occurred. So, or created. So that's something that we'll be doing over the next week or so, just kind of systematically going through everything and see, what we saw or see what we see. But all in all, I think everything held up fairly well, despite the heavy rain. And with that, I'll throw it to John for communications.
Good afternoon. Your report starts on page 95. For the third quarter of our strategic plan, so we shift focus from water quality to water conservation. On those lines, we're going to report to our residents here soon that not one day of supplemental irrigation has been needed so far this year. It's a good thing. Spring causing some problems elsewhere, but it keeps our water bills down.
Yeah.
This last month, we've also been talking about mud elections, water quality. You're going to hear more about water quality here in a little bit as we push out those community confidence reports at the end of the month. And we'll follow those mail outs with emails, social media, and so forth, and remind folks that you can always find that online. Other topics there, Kids Art Contest, we wrapped that up. That was super fun. We had 4 winners, 2nd through 5th grade, and the winners from each grade got a gift certificate for art supplies for their homework.
Oh, that was great.
Examples of current communication pieces there. And I've added some performance stats for many of those. I'll keep doing that beginning of each quarter. And that's it. Got any questions?
Oh, continue the good work.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Trustees report.
Yes, if you go to page 98, that's the trustees report. And thank you, Shelley, for sending out the links to the state water plan, interactive maps, as well as those maps contained within the San Jacinto Regional Floodplain Group website. Terrific information, and you can look at and do a deep dive into your risk in terms of either the 100-year or the 500-year flood potential. But also you can provide feedback. That's the important thing to the San Jacinto Regional Floodplain Group on how are they getting it right, are they getting it wrong, and provide some information that way. Also, there were we saw the results of the election emerge in the reconstitution, shall we say, of the Board of Trustees, and changes to the persons in the various positions. And that is pretty much it, unless there are questions.
Sad to see that you're not on the public education committee.
Well,
Just my words. Okay, any reason to go to closed session?
There's not. I'm good.
Any items for next month's agenda? We would put.
that voting, the out of district thing, we had that one.
Yes. Okay, well, that's it. What?
No, okay.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.